Chromatography is the separation of a material into a individual component using a stationary and a mobile phase. Classification of chromatography based on the principle of separation, absorption of chromatography and partition of chromatography. Example of absorption of chromatography is column chromatography and gas solid chromatography. In partition is a gas liquid chromatography based on the mode of chromatography, normal phase chromatography and reverse phase for chromatography. Both the phase HPLC is applicable. In normal phase is in normal phase stationary phase is polar in nature and mobile phase non-polar in nature. Um, in reverse phase it is a vice versa. Um, Based on the elution, uh, I, isocratic elution and gradient elution. In isocratic elution is the same polar solvent. Gradient elution is different polar solvent. Isocratic single pump is used and gradient more than two pumps are used. Other type of chromatography, ion change chromatography, ion change from ion change chromatography, ion change resins are used. For cations, cation chromatography is used, and anion chromatography is used. Exclusion chromatography depends on molecular size. Recent development size exclusion chromatography techniques, gel permeation and shading separation.
Okay. Okay, very good. Next.
Right.
Next. Who is ready? Say about the classification and definitions on chromatography. Siranjeevi. Hmm. Say the answer.
Chromatography is a separation of mixture. It's individual to the two stationary phase and mobile phase. Based on two principles, absorption and Passion's coefficient. Uh, Based on principle of separation, absorption chromatography and Passion chromatography. Absorption of chromatography when a mixture of compound dissolved in the mobile phase move through the columns of stationary phase. It's more affinity towards stationary phase travel and less affinity towards stationary phase travel faster. Stationary phase and mobile phase. Example: column chromatography and solid gas chromatography, thin layer chromatography. And Gaussian chromatography is when two immiscible liquids are present in a mixture of solute will be distributed according to the position of the efficient. Example: gas liquid chromatography, vapor Gaussian chromatography.
Okay. What are the other types of chromatography?
Okay.
What now? What happened? Okay, shall we start the class then? Siranjeevi and who told in the beginning? Padma Priya. So both of them, very thanks. We'll start with the class today.
Huh?
I asked you about other miscellaneous types of chromatography. Pa. Just a minute, I have a problem with the Chrome now.
மேம் ஜான்சனுக்கு ஜாயின்
ஆமாப்பா
ஆகுது.
இருங்க, எனக்கு கூகுள் குரோம் நாட் ரெஸ்பாண்டிங்னு வருது. ரொம்ப ஸ்லோ ஆயிடுச்சு சிஸ்டம். ஒரே நிமிஷம், ஷேர் பண்ண முடியல. அதான்
ஓகே
ஸ்லோவா
மேம்.
இருக்கு. ஒரே நிமிஷம் வெயிட். Are you able to see the screen? என் presentation தெரியுது இல்லைங்களா?
தெரியுது மேம்.
Okay, then we'll proceed. So as a part of introduction to chromatography, We'll be seeing about history of chromatography. In the last class, we have discussed regarding the classification and definition on chromatography. So now let's move on to history of chromatographic development. It was started, the chromatographic technique was started from 18th century for developing it. Then the techniques were developed during 19th, 20th and now 21st century. And many techniques, modernized techniques have been developed now, and it is widely useful for quantification of various pharmaceutical products. The technique is widely used. So let's see how it has been developed according to the century wise. So it is easy to remember. If year wise, if we learn, then you cannot remember all the techniques easily. So that I have classified this history part as century wise. So we have seen in the last class itself, there are three categories of techniques: older, modern and modest techniques. Here, older techniques have been developed from 18th century by the scientist Runge. First part of chromatography was developed, and he separated the inorganic compounds using normal filter paper. It was the first separation done by Runge in 18th century, so that he just separated an inorganic compound. Inorganic means not hydrocarbons, metallic compounds, inorganic compounds. So he has separated over normal filter paper, so that he found some colored compounds on it. So it has been named as chromatography. And in 19th century, by the scientist D.T. Davy, he developed or introduced column chromatography in the beginning. Not planar, column chromatography. He only developed column chromatography, where he separated hydrocarbons from petroleum products. Firstly, hydrocarbons are separated from petroleum products using column chromatography by D.T. Davy. Then in 20th century, Michael Sweat has introduced column adsorption chromatography, and he separated plant pigments using calcium carbonate as adsorbent. Okay. So Michael Sweat in 20th century has developed in column chromatography and the last class itself and the classification, we have learned that column adsorption chromatography is applicable for isolation purpose. It is open column chromatography applicable for isolation purpose. Okay, separation is different, isolation is different. Isolation is nothing but purification process. From mixture, we can highly purify the compound by using column adsorption chromatography. And it was developed by Michael Sweat, and he separated or isolated plant pigments using calcium carbonate as adsorbent. Here adsorbent is stationary phase, that is calcium carbonate powder is used as adsorbent, and the mobile phase was non-polar solvent, that is petroleum ether. Since pigments will be soluble in petroleum ether, hence mobile phase selected as non-polar solvents. Okay, that solvent, that is petroleum ether. So after column chromatography was introduced by D.T. Davy, then Michael Sweat has developed column adsorption chromatography, okay, in 20th century. And again in the same century, mostly in 20th century, most of the chromatographic techniques were introduced. Okay, first by D.T. Davy, he introduced column adsorption. Then by Martin and Sinch, column partition chromatography was introduced, and he separated, and those two persons have been separated chemicals, means generally chemicals with only slight difference in partition coefficient between two liquid solvents. So using two immiscible liquid solvents, chemicals can be separated. That concept was introduced through column partition chromatography by Martin and Sinch. You know what is partition principle in column. Okay, so it was developed by Martin and Sinch. So column adsorption by Michael Sweat in 20th century, both in 20th century, one by Michael Sweat, another by Martin and Sinch. And again in the same century, Stahl and Merck has introduced ion exchange chromatography and thin layer chromatography. IEC. Mainly, these two persons have been introduced ion exchange and thin layer chromatography. Okay, TLC means you have to remember Stahl and Merck. So these two important techniques has been introduced by Stahl and Merck in 20th century. And the recent techniques like HPLC, HPTLC, high performance, more sensitive and sophisticated techniques were being introduced in 21st century by Kaiser and Patel. Okay, HPLC, HPTLC, LCMS, that is liquid chromatography coupled with mass spectroscopy. Chromatography and spectroscopy were coupled for analyzing with a very less amount of sample in a very accurate and sensitive manner. Okay, so this is a recently developed technique, LCMS and GCMS in this century. Okay, LCMS and GCMS was developed by Kaiser and Patel. This is about history of chromatography. Today, very small topic. With this introduction on chromatographic techniques, from the next class we will be moving on to the main part of different class of chromatographic analysis. Okay, in that firstly, according to classification, we'll be moving on with the planar chromatographic techniques. Okay, planar chromatographic techniques we'll be seeing in the next class. In that, paper chromatography will be discussed first. Okay. So according to the chromatography classification, it is based on principle of separation, modes of separation, elution, ion exchange and size exclusion. Apart from these four types, you can include planar and columnar also. Based on using stationary phase material, we can divide chromatographic techniques into broad categories of two, that is planar and columnar. Apart from that, the second classification will be principle of separation, modes of separation, elution, ion exchange and size exclusion. So this all type of chromatographies were being developed from 18th century to till now. It has been developed. And what is the development? Recent development in chromatographic technique means it is coupling of different chromatographic and spectroscopic methods, like coupling IR and mass, coupling NMR and mass spectrometers. For more accurate detection and sensitive detection, and to get more information about molecular structure and molecular information, the techniques are developed and it is coupled with both chromatography and spectroscopy are coupled to give wide informations and applications over whatever analysis we carry out. A quality control test we have performed on it. Okay, that is the recent development. So in the older techniques were just like separating by filter paper. It was started like separation in filter paper, 18th century. Then first part is not paper chromatography was developed, but it was developed with column chromatography and isolation of hydrocarbons using petroleum products. From petroleum products were done by D.T. Davy, and then adsorption, column adsorption and column partition were being introduced. So in the beginning, column chromatography only was developed. Column adsorption and partition was developed. And then ion exchange and thin layer. In 20th century only, thin layer. Thin layer is planar chromatography. Thin layer chromatography, TLC, normal TLC for identification was developed. Then only HPLC, HPTLC, high performance chromatographic techniques were developed. LCMS, GCMS. So in this 4 centuries, decades, it has been developed widely. And now more coupled form of techniques. FTIR mass with LC, liquid chromatography, or GC with MSMS, LC with MSMS, LC with NMR-MS, FTIR-MS. Likewise, it has been coupled to give more sensitive results. Okay. And if you have any doubts, you can clarify regarding introduction part. The next class will be seeing about planar chromatography and the paper chromatography. What are the chromatographic? Generally, what you will be having means, generally, if you take any chromatographic analysis, we'll be discussing about what is the type of stationary phase we use, and what is the types of mobile phase, different polar solvents or non-polar solvents, what type of solvents we'll be preferring, what are the different chromatographic conditions we follow for each and every technique, and how we will separate the sample, what type of sample we will choose, how it is prepared, and how it is detected, what are the different detection techniques. These are all most important parts will be discussed in chromatographic analysis, so that you will learn all the concepts behind each and every chromatography. Okay. Is there any doubt?
No, ma'am.
Uh, no. Okay. Okay. Thank you. We'll meet in the next class. So
Thank you,
till
ma'am.
now, what are the things we discussed? I just will revise. In the first class, I have given introduction on pharmaceutical analysis. And you have seen the overview of syllabus with 4 different categories. In that, we have moved on to the first category, separation technique. In that, just we have discussed introduction part. According to your syllabus, it has mentioned the classification, history, introduction on chromatographic analysis. You have many informations regarding these titles, but I have concised and has given whatever you require. If you want to get more, you can refer even textbooks. Textbooks itself, everything with the particular year, specific year it is given. If paper chromatography or partition, paper adsorption, what year it has been developed, TLC, which year it has been, specific year in that century, it has been given in the textbooks itself. If you want to study, you can study from textbooks, analysis textbooks, in the introduction part, chromatographic textbooks. Okay, and then it also you will be getting information. Here, collection of information only I have given. You want to write specifically, you can refer more with the different sources, net source, book source, whatever, e-books, e-journals, also you can refer. You can, if you refer more articles recently developed or published, you will get more information regarding chromatographic techniques. Okay, these are more modernized techniques for analyzing drug molecules. Okay, either biomolecules or pharmaceutical products, generally pharmaceutical products. Okay. Thank you all. When you people are planning to come to college? Today, your fifth form D, your seniors have arrived to college. What about you people? Any information you have got?
Still not got any
No
information.
information, ma'am.
Not getting you.
No, ma'am.
எப்போ வருவாங்க? Okay, pa. Thank you. Still you didn't get the information. Okay. Okay. Once you come to college only, you will be having practicals. Until that, you will be having theory classes on analysis. Thank you all.
Thank you,
Thank
ma'am.
you, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.